This is Distance from Center. I'm Horton, that is
Trent.
And we're here to talk about the news in water skiing. So we're a little late on this one, but a couple weeks ago, the Pan Am Council came down with a decision to reduce 9 scores from a tournament in Orlando last fall. Trent, what do you know?
I mean, basically just that, right? I know. I guess we now know that you don't just have a thing for Europe when you talk about this stuff. So that's nice. You know, thinking globally, acting locally, whatever.
Right.
No, it was exactly that. I mean, it was. I guess there is a new standard of reviewing. You know, all boat paths need to be reviewable. I mean, I think everything is submitted now, and everything is up for potential review, and then exactly that. It was some of the, they felt that 9 of the scores weren't of L class quality, and they weren't thrown out. They were just reduced to the last, the highest score before the tolerances started getting out of bounds.
Right. But I mean, for those skiers, effectively, their
yes,
high scores
thrown out. Yes,
were gone.
Yeah.
And, it's funny you say that it's all reviewable because of events of the last week, probably my fault. The Dropbox folder with boat paths for most of the L tournaments in the country has gone from public to private. So now, us as non-committee members no longer have access to that. And I can understand an argument for that they don't want everybody going in and second guessing, but
I think it's weird that it would ever be public.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be the watchdog, but this tournament where they downgraded these 9 scores, that was in November. So it was like November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7th month later, they pulled these scores down. If I really want to complain about something, it's that whatever in the process, and I don't know, I don't want to point fingers at a specific person, but in the process, we had super high scores into 41 off, that were not really within the essence of the rules, and it took them 7 months to get around to pulling them out. I'm not saying people didn't work hard. Actually, I've heard reports that people put in far more effort than I think they should have, but we have a systemic process issue.
My problem with all that stuff being up for public consumption is, truthfully, the average person, even the average skier, even the average judge, with the naked eye, isn't going to really know what they're looking at. You know what I mean? There's a big difference between tilt and back end swing. I mean, it's I think if anything's going to be for public consumption, it should be, you could put up all the passes being run through the Splasheye program, but I think it's kind of hard. But where are you going with this? What is this topic? What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, we're talking about L tournaments in general. There was a tournament, I guess a week and a half ago now in Orlando, run by well-named, respected judges, but the scores were really high. Fred Winter ran 41 off all 4 rounds, including a 1.5. And as not an elite driver, I looked at some of the boat path footage and I thought, maybe, but that boat looks like it's dancing a lot.
Yeah.
And
I saw a lot of it too, and my thought was, if that had been a world record, I'm not sure that would stick.
Correct.
So I guess here's my only. I like full disclosure, and yes, L class needs to be held to a higher standard. My problem, twofold. So my problem is, as a driver and an event organizer, I don't want to be fearful of accusations that are unwarranted, and I don't want to, reputations sullied. And then on the other end, as a skier, I don't want the driver in the driver's seat driving scared. I don't want him driving for the camera. I want him to what I want is for him to give, the best pull of his ability that, as it, inside the rule of the law, or the rule of the spirit of the rules, and da 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 da, So I don't know. I don't know what the conversation is then. Is this a policy problem? Like, should every single L score be held to world record standards?
Well,
I guess that's the question, right?
Well, let me stop you there. We ski for like three things. We ski for our own personal scores that are our targets.
Yeah.
We ski for competition, and we ski for ranking list placement. And unfortunately, especially for the super elite in the sport, rankings list is a really big deal.
It does. It means a lot.
So, if high-end skiers are going to events and they're putting up huge scores with perfect boat paths, and another athlete is going to an L event and they're putting up the same score with borderline or just out of tolerance boat paths, that's not fair. Basically, the rankings list becomes meaningless.
Oh, I agree with that.
I talked to Fred Winter quite a bit, and his comment to me is he's had it with the ranking list. He just thinks it's shit because he doesn't believe that tournaments are all on the same footing.
So then, I mean, where are we falling? As event organizers, as drivers, where are we falling out then? Is it that, we're not policing ourselves, or is it, or do you think this is more of a policy issue? Is it that, things need to be monitored more closely? Either things need to be monitored more closely, or the rules need to be looser. It's one or the other, right?
Well, right. And look, I suspect that the tournament a week and a half ago in Orlando, I suspect that driver thought he was intolerance. And when they put it on the splash eye, it might be intolerance. I'm not sure that it's out. It's hard to look at, but the boat's moving a lot. So I think we need like a cultural change of, make it feel good for the skier, but the tolerance is not there to be used. That boat is supposed to be going down the middle. Or whatever, or adjust the rules so we're all on the same footing.
I mean, as a driver though, I think that I don't think you can successfully max out the tolerance without running the real serious risk of being out of tolerance. You know what I mean? Like, it's tight enough that, especially the shorter lines, I don't think you can knowingly, hey, I'm going to bump this thing to the max. I don't think so. I think either you're trying to be straight or you're trying to give space. You know what I mean? It's tight enough that I don't think, it's not like in the old days of, fudging the zero or the perfect pass settings and stuff like that. I don't think you can operate to the max of the parameters. You might get lucky and it happens to be in, but I mean, I think either you're trying to drive straight, you're trying to drive a legit path, or you're not. Does that make sense to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe it comes down to, and I don't think it's practical to run, and I know I'm jumping back to the policy side of it, but I don't know that it's practical to review every boat path through,
I don't either.
But as I like to say, L and R class tournaments are supposed to be special.
Yep.
When we go to an L class tournament, it's a higher standard. There should be a senior driver watching the end course all day long, and I realize I'm asking for yet more officials, but it's an L tournament. These scores go on the standings list.
And it wouldn't be all day long. If it's women's slalom, it's like, okay, 39 eyes on the screen. Guys, it's 41 eyes on the screen. Or wherever that mark happens to be for that. I don't know. I think we run the risk of making good drivers perform poorly, but I'm 100% on board with you though. I mean, if this, you want it to be a level playing field. We've got boats that are being timed to 100th of a second, monitored by GPS, and it needs to be legit. I guess we see there's already been some scores thrown out this year. I guess we just see what unfolds with this event, and
Right. Yeah, and I do know, so I talked to somebody on the drivers committee, and they are really concerned about this, and they're trying to find a practical solution. There's some teeth gnashing, but I mean, they want to do good things. They don't want to make running one of these tournaments impossible,
Yeah.
but they completely agree that we need that level playing field.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's inarguable, and I don't think anyone, could successfully argue against that. It's just, I guess we just have to decide, is this, I mean, where are we lacking? It's either policy or it's procedure, right?
100%. And I mean, look, and like, again, in this case in Orlando, I don't think anybody was trying to cheat, but let's be blunt. Some of this historically is people trying to create inflated scores. And that's, another reason why everything needs to be reviewed at least to some level. I don't think we can just go, oh, it's Class L and nobody called in to tattle, because that's kind of what happens, right? Is there's a bunch of scores and some skier doesn't like how the competitor skis, or some judge, there's some rivalry. They tattle, and then the whole tournament gets looked at. I know that sounds like a seedy sitcom or reality show, but that's really what happens.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Well, right.
That's probably accurate, yeah.
So instead of that happening, it seems like there should be a more consistent random sampling or something of the sort.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, I know. Because here's what I want. I mean, I want to hear about those scores, and I want to just purely celebrate them. I don't like this trickle down gotcha kind of stuff,
Oh, 100%. Like I said, so I talked to Fred Winter after this tournament in Orlando. We're over time, but we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
I talked to Fred after this tournament this weekend, and I said, congratulations, 41 off, 4 rounds in a row. How'd it feel? He said the boat driving felt phenomenal. I asked him if he thought it was good. He said it did. And then he looked at some of the boat path, and his comment was, if those boat paths are good, I'm drinking some beers. If some of those get knocked out, it's fair, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's the right attitude.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're over time. Closing thoughts, Trent?
I mean, I guess we'll just know, like, if something, if there is some sort of action taken, then we'll know. But it's just like, again, it's troubling. It's just troubling, and and I've already mentioned it's troubling as a driver. It's troubling as an event organizer. I don't want to. I would hate, because I've pulled some regional records. I've pulled one national record, and I would hate to have finger pointing when it, just because I'm maybe not as good a driver as I would like to be. You know what I mean? And on the other end of the spectrum, I don't want to go to a tournament and have the drivers so afraid to make a mistake that they're no longer able to give a good pull. So it's double edged, then full circle, you also don't want to have to compete against people who are basically skiing within different parameters than you're skiing at your tournament. So it's, I'm not sure that it's a huge systemic problem, but I think there's going to be a lot of learning in the next little while. We just, it's really just been recent that we introduced this policy of submitting all L score, boat path video. So I guess we just sort of see how policy shifts and what are we actually going to do with this information? How do we want these tournaments to be run? And I guess, we'll learn, throughout the course of the summer.
Right. For sure. All right. Well, hopefully we'll talk about big scores without any shadows over them soon. And tournaments are happening. Trent, what do you have next? And then we're out of here.
Man, I'm just a whole bunch of coaching, and then I probably won't ski any tournaments till fall. But yeah, we're moving into that time of year. Junior U.S. Open is this weekend. It's going to be a while till there's a pro event, but we're going to be moving into all the all the regionals and all. There's going to be a whole bunch of records, and there's going to be a whole bunch of big scores. So, we'll just sort of see how this unfolds and what everyone decides to do with all this, these new requirements.
All right. Thank you, folks. See you soon.